Hi, gorgeous people. You guys lately have been asking me about ballet contracts. And what's really interesting is this year, what I'm hearing through the ballet world is that there were so few spots, like less than normal, for dancers to be hired into companies and available spots in ballet companies. So let's chat about dancer contracts. What is it like? How does it work? All that kind of stuff. Yeah, this year in particular, there were so few spots in ballet companies. I had a lot of acquaintances and friends kind of auditioning or jumping around, wanting to jump around, and just nobody was taking anybody this year. It was so difficult to get a spot. And if you auditioned this year and you found this to be true, comment below, let me know. But it's really getting sad and scary as to how not available spots for dancers and the art's not being funded, and we have to fix this. This is not good. So ballet contracts. We touched on this a little bit in the video where it was like the 12 tips. I can't remember what I called it. 12 tips to becoming a professional dancer. When you sign a ballet contract, it is only for a certain number of weeks. Usually somewhere between 36 and 40, I want to say 43, maybe 45 at the most. I think at City Ballet we were like 42, 43 while I was there. So, and because you're on salary, or at least the main company is on salary, you get paid your weekly salary or your bi-weekly salary during those weeks. And of course, there's 52 weeks in a year, so that means for however many weeks you're not being paid. Because ballet companies don't go all year. There is a hiatus, or there's a summer, or there's, time off, not Christmas, obviously. But so that's what happens with a contract. Your contract is for however many weeks, and then it is up to you to figure out how to make money the rest of the time. So most dancers will teach in the summer, or try and get guestings. That's a whole nother thing we can do a video on. Or the other one is filing for unemployment. And what's really interesting is sometimes dancers find they make more money on unemployment rather than teaching at summer intensives, or rather than guesting. Like, you have to make the guesting or the teaching worthwhile in order to do it. So many dancers won't teach during the summer because they're actually like, I can make more on unemployment than I would on teaching somewhere, or, trying to dance somewhere. So it's really up to you those extra weeks. And your pay scale is your rank. That is the point of a rank, not only for roles, but it's for pay scale. So obviously principals make the most, and then going down the line. And actually in the core, well, really any rank, I want to say, you every year, like however many years you're there, helps your salary increase. So for example, and this is self-explanatory, but in case you don't know, like a 10-year core member who's been in the core for 10 years is going to make more than a first-year core. And a veteran senior principal is going to make more than a baby principal. It depends on how many years. Sometimes in ballet companies, once you hit, I think it's 5 years in the core, then you get a decent pay raise, not much, but like you'll get a bigger pay raise, and then you're a member of the senior core. If you've ever heard the term senior core, usually it's 5 years or more in the core. So your pay scale depends on your rank and how long you've been said rank. For example, it's been a million years ago. I can't actually remember how much I got as a soloist, but I remember some of the core dancers who had been in the core for years made more than I did as a baby soloist, if I remember correctly. So just because you're a soloist doesn't always mean you're going to get a huge pay raise over the senior core. If I remember talking to somebody about that, hearing about that somewhere. So that's how the pay scale works, and you get paid said salary for however many weeks of the contract, or of that, however many weeks your contract is. 37 weeks, 42 weeks, whatever. Bigger companies have bigger week contracts. So I think actually New York City Ballet, San Francisco, Houston, ABT, probably PNB, they have more weeks. Obviously, we had a ton of weeks when I was in New York. If you are in a company internationally, or if you have a friend that is, let me know how that works. I actually don't know how the pay scale, I'm assuming it's the same, works in Europe or Asia. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how it works. I would assume it's the same. I know a lot of companies in Europe are state funded, meaning funded by the government. So that's a whole different situation. Many countries, like, because it's state funded, the dancers are very well taken care of, which is a good thing. So it really depends on your country. But in America, I would say 99%, if not 100% of all companies, ballet companies, are nonprofits. And the arts is not well funded here, as we know, which needs to change. So that's how that works. Now, in terms of this year, when I say there was not a lot of turnover, dancers, because there are so few spots in ballet companies, dancers are holding on to their company contracts with an iron fist. Because, and this is what I've said in previous videos to you guys, get in the door. Get in the door. If you audition and get something, take it. Take it. Seriously, because there's so little turnover right now, because there's not a lot of money in the arts. And so the companies just can't hire. And it's not, you can take heart in that in a way, because it's not personal. If they don't take you, it's not necessarily because you're not a great dancer. It's a budgetary issue. And, just because someone leaves the company, or a principal retires, or a soloist retires, or a soloist gets promoted, doesn't necessarily mean that that spot is now open. Most of the time it does. But for example, with principals, let's say, if there's a senior principal retiring in some company, that's a big chunk of change. So oftentimes what will happen, instead of promoting someone else, they will take that contract and split it into two and do like two more. Oh, we need more core, two more core spots. Or they'll bring it down and do a soloist, and then with some of that contract, and then the rest of that contract goes into the payroll pool to maybe hopefully give everybody a little bit of a raise. Or they'll do that entirely. They'll just not promote anyone, or they'll not take anybody new and say, you know what, this principal is getting this amount of money. Let's just wash that contract and put it in the payroll money. And so everybody can get a little bit more, or we have a little more funding for whatever. So just because you hear, oh, so-and-so left this company, there must be a spot open. Not necessarily. They might need those funds for other dancers who are already there for other things. It literally depends on the inner workings of that company. I've seen that happen so many times when a principal or a soloist retires, and like suddenly, oh, there's a principal spot open, and they don't promote anybody because they need that money elsewhere, or they need a bigger court ballet. Now, if you are an apprentice or a second company, such and such ballet 2 somewhere, that's a stipend. So the difference with, for example, and again, if you're a finance person, like, you can help me in the comments because I ain't a finance person. But when you're on salary, your taxes are taken out. Many ballet companies have retirement funds that they can contribute to, and it's a steady paycheck. When it's a stipend, the taxes are not really taken out. It's also a very small amount of money. Like, sometimes I'm hearing with these second company dancers, it's like maybe $200 or $300 a week, maybe, if that. Used to be like $500 a month. It's nothing. So when you're getting a stipend, it's a whole different scenario than when you're on salary. And when the taxes are taken out, typically they take enough out so that you get some back during the year. But when you're in a second company or an apprentice, if you get a stipend, or my least favorite thing in the world, which is, it's an opportunity. That's usually the trainee stop. Like you have to pay to be there as a trainee or in a professional division in a school. And if you get put into a show as a trainee or professional division, it's an opportunity. They don't pay them at all. You're still considered a student. And so when it's the second company, sometimes it's a stipend, sometimes it's hourly. Something I remember, and it's literally been 20 years now since I was an apprentice with New York City Ballet, literally. I remember us getting paid by number of rehearsals or rehearsal hours or something. And then, so I remember us having to record rehearsal hours. I don't remember if it was like an hourly fee or a number of rehearsal fee or number of ballets fee. But as an apprentice, we had to tally, and then we're paid based off of that. Once you're in the corps, you're on salary. And with being an apprentice at New York City Ballet, and we talked about this in a previous video, but if you did 9 different ballets in performance within a season, so Nutcracker doesn't count, of course, Nutcracker doesn't count, but like winter season from January to whatever it was, March, till we went to the Kennedy Center. If you did performed, not learned, performed on stage 9 different ballets, you automatically got a corps contract. That means like, oh, they're useful. We need them. We're going to put them in the corps anyway. Just slot them in. That happened to Brittany Pollock and myself. I think they had already decided we were going to be in the corps. So they just slotted like, oh, great. Just slot them in anywhere. They'll get their corps contract. We ended up signing and getting our corps contracts on Valentine's Day. So by February 14th, Brittany and I had done 9 ballets. And our 9th ballet was Firebird. And we were doing monsters in Firebird, which if you're a monster in Firebird, you have a mask. Some of us had fat suits on. Like that was our 9th ballet. It actually ended up going before a different one we were rehearsing. But I remember that being our 9th ballet. And we were rehearsing 𝐂𝐸𝐴𝐻𝐿𝐸, which is the card game. Peter Martin's The Card Game. And I remember each corps member is a different suit of cards, and I was a heart on Valentine's Day getting my corps contract. So that was fun. But yeah, so 9 different roles. Now, like again, Nutcracker doesn't count because you might be Snow, Flowers, Grandmother, whatever. 9 different ballets on stage, automatic corps. So yeah, it's been very difficult for the dance industry this year. There is not a lot of turnover. People are holding on to their spots. Companies do not have the budget to hire limitlessly. And if you see somebody retiring or getting promoted or whatever, that doesn't necessarily mean that that spot is now available. I will tell you, ballet companies like to be able to fill their corps de ballet. It serves them much better to have, instead of promoting yet another principal, which is why, again, it's harder to get promoted. Like, oh, we need more corps. We're not going to promote somebody to principal, take that contract, split it in 2. Now we got 2 more corps spots. So if you're doing this and if you want to be in this business, know that, and this sounds so cliche, but 90% of the time, if you don't get taken into a company, there are no spots. Doesn't mean you're not a good dancer. And even if there is a spot, usually especially with a corps de ballet situation, let's say if a corps dancer, like a male corps dancer was promoted and they need another guy, they're going to hire a guy. Or if it's like a short, we call it short girl spot, they're going to hire another, they like to keep their numbers balanced. So if we have like 4 tall women and one gets promoted and we need to keep the numbers balanced, they're going to look for somebody tall. Same thing with whatever height, it doesn't matter. They're trying to also look at like, okay, who do we need aesthetically, height-wise? How many people do we have for this and that? Do I need another woman to do swans? Do I need, you know what I mean? So that's also a factor in who they're going to offer a contract to. But it's a very hard industry to get in the door. And that's why I've said to people, if you get something, just take it. And it's easier for a director when funding is tight, when you're looking for new corps de ballet or you're looking for new soloist or whomever, if you're a dancer that's already in a company, doesn't matter which one, and let's say you're at such and such company and you want to audition for this one, that director is going to see that you already have a job and we're good enough to get a job. So they know that, oh, they're probably reliable. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, you're already a professional. Great, come to us. So just get in the door, y'all. It's so important nowadays. I'm telling you, I've literally had people telling me there are no spots this year. Like, nobody was hiring. Very few core contracts. And these are from professionals that are trying to switch companies. So yeah, it's tight. So that's kind of how a ballet contract works. In terms of other things in there, sometimes there are clauses, and I think we had one that was like, will not do anything to like risk injury, like snowboarding, skateboarding, skating, skiing, that kind of thing. I remember that being somewhere. I don't know if it still is. But it's just like any other job. Like, there are the requirements, and you will be available for however many rehearsals or and like every company is different with sick pay and PTO, paid time off, or things like that. That just depends on the company. It's like any business, but that's kind of how a contract is structured. The number of weeks, what you're expected to do, and how much you're getting paid. And that's really kind of it. And then each company has their specifications within that contract. So I hope that helped a little bit. Again, I didn't cut pretty much anything out of this. That was just my like stream of consciousness thought. If there's things like this you want to talk about, maybe we can talk about, I know a couple of you requested guesting, and talk about guestings and how to get guestings. Let me know in the comments. I love you guys. If you missed my update video, it's right there. You can click it to watch. Love you, and I will see you next time.